Speak to most known violinist performers who are involved in coaching or teaching or in some guidance role with the young, and you'll probably find this unanimity of opinion. Usually the coach learns more than the student. Violin playing is such a visceral thing, such an internal experience defying explanation and rationale, so intuitive to the player himself, that someone else's words and directions have a tendency to drown the student's own playing. But the coach himself seems to reinforce his own understanding by explaining it to others. Unfortunately, this happens all too often. This is why I try, whenever possible, to demonstrate as much as I can, even at the risk of being accused by some of my students as being a show-off. When in my teens, I had the unbelievably good luck of studying for a number of years with both Nathan Milstein and Jascha Heifetz. I think I learned the most when they picked up their wonderful violins and actually played, imagine, for me alone, to watch and observe. What an amazing profession music is. I often have the same astonishment when I hear how just a collection of notes can somehow uplift my whole being. I know it happens, I know it exists, though I can't see it and I don't really understand it. Just as when on tour I look out at the wing of an airliner, feel it maintain itself aloft, yet I can't see the air. The irony is that the plane will come down, but music somehow never does. The violinist's bow is the prescribed length simply as a convenience for the average human arm. The violinist must learn how to go back and forth, up and down, without tiring or boring the listener with the mechanics of it. And within these confines, the phrase must be molded to almost the physical laws of air friction and gravity. The phrase must ascend, reach a point, and then descend spatially shorter than the ascent. Sounds complicated. Then within these confines, the question of style and taste comes into being. Casals, the great cellist, often said that taste could not be described or taught. How true. And did I neglect to mention the two considerations that antecede everything said before? Time and intonation. In fact, to be considered a big leaguer amongst violinists these days, one has only to subscribe to these two considerations, time and intonation. Here I am going back to demonstrating, trying to show how the violinist must use the bow and violin to give this transcendental direction to a phrase. This is the way I describe it to students in order of importance. Time, intonation, phrase, style, and then sound. Within the last consideration, I include vibrato and bow shading for dramatic effect as opposed to phrasing. Too often amongst teachers, this order of priorities are mixed up. After the mechanics and rudiments of bowing and fingering are learned, vibrato is taught. Vibrato, a violinistic device promulgated to its highest beauty by Chrysler himself, Wieniawski and Isai being the first great violinists to use it. It unfortunately becomes an annoyance and disease when not used to protect the stridency of the string and pressure of the bow. I could go on and on like this, but the great Chrysler himself in his prime demonstrates all the necessary priorities of the great artist.